All right, so they're going to talk about the interview with Jerry Wayne Jones, and I'm going to listen in and give you guys my feedback, and we're going to see what they all bring up with this particular situation. Let's go.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kevin, Corey, and Mike, and great to be on with you, and it's just wonderful to be teeing it up out here this weekend against these Falcons.
Well, and that's exactly the first thing I wanted to ask you about. What is your anticipation level for the home opener, especially given the odd route we took to get to this home opener and get people in the stands?
Well, I think that we're going to have a great crowd. We'll announce what it is there at the game, but it's going to be a great crowd. I know that I love our plan of safety for the stadium. The stadium has an enormous amount of space in it, 3 million square feet of air-conditioned space, great airflow, great air current. And didn't know that we'd be getting in this kind of emphasis ever when the stadium was built. But and we're going to have a very safe plan of entry. Got over 15 ways that our fans will come into the stadium, and well, you literally have fans that are far enough from people that one could be sitting in Dallas and one be sitting in Fort Worth, but as far as the COVID's concerned. So anyway, I'm really liking the way that we're approaching this thing. I urge our fans, know they will be safe in their protocols, wear their face masks, recognize that they're from a safety standpoint, consideration for others. I know we'll have all everyone out there won't be free of any symptoms when they come, which is very important. And I would urge our fans to give themselves a lot of consideration, make sure that they're in good health and very not vulnerable. And I think that makeup will give us great fan support. I believe we'll have great input from our crowd and be an asset to help and beat the Falcons.
It seems as though the organization has been just a little bit hesitant to say specifically how many fans they anticipate. Is that because ticket sales are an unknown, or you don't want to worry people? Can you walk us through that process at all?
No, we don't know because we've played this designed a plan that would allow us to basically ease into it, let's say, but basically dictate by the situation. Back when we started planning this months ago, we didn't know where we would be as far as the COVID the intensity, if you will, or where we would be on a state basis, on a local basis, because we've been very careful to basically have a plan that our fans could, with consideration, but with deliberateness, execute for us. And so consequently, we can leave right up until we are middle of the game before we give account as to what we have. That's very customary. That's what we do all the time, is make our announcement of our fan attendance during the game. This is not done. This is basically what we do every time.
And if everything goes well over the next couple of months, can you envision hopefully a full stadium for a playoff game, say in January?
Well, I would say that everything is going well, which we expect it to be going well, then I think we will evolve into more and more and more of our fans coming to games. That's definitely the plan. That's the reason we're doing it this way, so that we can have more and more fans. We feel good about the direction. I don't know any more than anyone else does about the direction of vaccine, the direction of testing. I am very positive about it. Let me say this. I'm positive about the ability to put together more fans as we go. I think the more we see our testing procedures improve, the better we can feel about everyone's health and expand the crowd. Yes, I do think we'll expand it as we go.
So, Jerry, I want to talk about Thursday night football last night before we get into Falcons-Cowboys, and I enjoyed watching the game last night and watching Joe Burrow, and he throws the ball 60 times, and my favorite player of all time is Troy Aikman, and he said, by the time I threw it 60 times, we were done with week 3 in the NFL. And so I was just wondering the way that the game has evolved, and look, Troy Aikman's my favorite player, and people take a lot of shots at my favorite player, and it hurts my heart because he doesn't have the accounting stats that a lot of great quarterbacks today do or in the last 20 years do. Can you talk about the way the game has evolved on how much like a rookie quarterback can step in and throw the ball that many times? And if Troy Aikman had to throw the ball 40 times a game on kind of an average basis, the way the game is going, do you believe Troy Aikman could have handled that and his accounting stats would have been as great as some of the greatest quarterbacks are today?
Yes. It's well known. I've always believed that Troy Aikman could have had enormous stats compared to what they are. Had we just wanted to have him out there breaking records. He had the skill, he had the ability to, the accuracy, and he had the mentality to handle on any stats, break them, if you will. But he wanted to win the game, and the game was won through the balance that we had. And we had a great running game that he made from his position complement the passing game. And so that when the defenses tried to line up and step back for his accuracy and to help defend against the pass, Emmett was just ran free all day long. Not free, but could really do the damage when they stepped up, which they had to from time to time to close it down for Emmett. Then Troy would beat him a lot of different ways out there between Novacek and Michael Irvin and many others as he went along. But the bottom line is, yes, Troy could have, in my mind, had enormously more yards and stats from passing.
Thank you, Jerry. Take that, all you Troy haters. Now, let's get into the Falcons-Cowboys game. Your offensive line last week, late in the game, had some issues. Obviously, Aaron Donald's the best in the game interior-wise. Are you concerned about your offensive line, or was that just more a product of Aaron Donald?
Well, that's both. It's both. Now, Aaron Donald is an exceptional player and going to always get his disruptions, and he is disruptive. And even when he's held in check, he's been disruptive because the offense usually has had to really compensate for him. But an offensive line is as close a thing to several players, 5 being 1 as you can be in football. That unit has to work together and usually coordinated carefully with some help from either a tight end or a fullback. As far as the blocking, or a running back that does what fullbacks do, and that's protect the passer. Having said that, it takes more work. It takes more coordination. If you were going to look as though you didn't have a complete training camp, if you were going to look as though you didn't have a complete spring, the place that it would, in my mind, that it would show up the most in the offensive line. Having said that, that's not surprising. That's a challenge for every team. It's a challenge in football. But we certainly had that challenge Sunday. And then you deal with the normal situation of being limited from time to time, whether it be injury or usually injury. And so that creates some limitations there. We did have that adjustment to make for a first game. We will be having them. Everybody has to do it. We will be having them. And just look forward. We'll get better there, and we've got some good players to get better with.
Now, along the lines of the offensive line, can you give us any update or status about Tyron? Because obviously we all get nervous around here when somebody doesn't practice or they're listed as questionable. What is the status of Tyron Smith?
Well, we'll see at game time what we've got. And with him, the good news is that the people that would replace him, the combinations of people, have had more time to work on it than we had this time last week. But certainly you have to go into a game. As a matter of fact, this year we're allowed to address actively one more player. It has to be an offensive lineman, by the way. And so what we're talking about is a common thing and a common concern. So we will have an extra offensive lineman that we dress out, not necessarily just because of Tyron, but that do give us some more depth there on a game day situation. But we'll be working actually different combinations, and obviously for competitive reasons we need to keep that kind of under our hat.
I mean, if you change your mind and decide to tell us, obviously we would be okay with that as well.
I could just tell you guys that's it, but I'm going to tell half Atlanta when I open my mouth, and we'd rather them not know what we're thinking.
Will
Everybody understands that.
Absolutely. Will the game time decision be the same logic for like Amari Cooper and Aldon Smith, who also were listed as questionable?
That's fair, because that's really what questionable means. And yes, do that. But one of the good things about our team is we've got some great depth out there this year. But again, this I would put all of this in normal game day. This is the way it's always going to be. We're going to have two or three, as many as a handful that were questionable on game day, and so put it in that degree of seriousness.
So, Jerry, our biggest concern Sunday, as our show has been talking about Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, is that your biggest concern?
I definitely think so. Their quarterbacks, of course, one of the better quarterbacks that we ever play, and he's worth kind of respect. And those guys, we know what they're capable of doing, the talent level they have, and so yes, that would be their experienced quarterback, the accuracy of their quarterback, and the skill level of those receivers. And make no mistake about it, Julio Jones, one of the best there is. So, yeah, those would be our chief concerns.
Is Jordan Lewis your starter in the slot on Sunday?
Who is that?
Lewis, cornerback.
On our defense.
Yes.
Again, let's see how game day goes. He has had a good week of practice. He's been getting a lot of snaps out there. We'll just make sure that he has a good time out there today and is in good shape Sunday. We'll see.
I was curious.
Good place to go with your mind, but I am. I don't want to call it yet. We always want to leave room on a guy that has been out as much as he has and coming back in.
We thought maybe you were drawing up the game plan right now.
Well, let me just say this: if I were, would you, for the reasons we're talking about, you'd expect me to be coy about it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, I would. Absolutely.
Well, give me that. I'm not. I want to keep my credibility with our listeners. Absolutely.
Now, one of the things is, I know it's just one game. I was curious your takeaway about the offense. Is it, did you see any lack of execution? What do you think about the pre-snap motion? Because that's been a big discussion over the last couple of weeks. What were your takeaways on maybe where the offense had some problems this past weekend?
I heard your discussion. I heard a lot of it just yesterday in particular on the pre-snap motion. That's probably a little too much concern on your parts about how we're going to do that. Mike has spent a lot of his career on obviously the offensive side of the ball. Kellen is, in my mind, as good as we could expect and want back there, and they'll mix it up on them, and we'll do both. We have the benefit of a really strong running game, and so we want to take advantage of that. I think y'all nailed it pretty good. Motion creates a little more sophistication. It has a little more coordination. It's early. It was early last week. It's not as early this week. I think you'll see some of both, and we'll let Coach give more insight as to how comfortable he is there. But I think that in general, my opinion is last week. I think we really probably left ourselves too narrow a way to win that, or not a way, but too narrow a gap to win the game. I felt all day long that we were moving or about to move the ball and could move the ball. And I saw some help that you normally would, or some ways to improve. Just practice will improve it, like distance on routes, things like that. But in general, I feel good about the upside that I saw last week. I see a lot of upside out there from our passing game as well as our running game. And so I haven't been diminished in any way about the season-long ability to produce on our offense.
Jerry, one of the things that makes teams great is red zone efficiency, and I know I'm going back to last season, and this is a new season, but then I take us back to Troy Aikman. He seemed to be just so accurate in little windows. Is that the key to being a great red zone offense, is not only being able to punch it in there with your running back, but just your quarterback being just, Super Bowl, Hall of Fame accurate, or am I missing something on red zone efficiency?
Well, I think that I think the best way to answer it is all the things that make up a quarterback come to bear when you get in that red zone. You've limited your distance and to work with. You've got now the limit of the back of the end zone. You're in there pretty close. You're everything short yardage. And this is heightened the premium on good decision-making, hand-eye, timely decision-making, sense of the defense's sense of respect. All of this comes to and enhances what you've got when you've got a top quarterback. We've got a top quarterback. He puts a lot of pressure on that defense on red zone. But he can certainly run it, and he can run it with authority. He can make a yard be there when it's not there. But he can also make good decisions. All of this bodes well for us with having him and then having the running game that we've got as well. So I feel like that red zone, especially these coaches we've got in Kellen and Coach Mike, I really feel that we're going to be satisfied and be giving our red zone off good grades as we move through the season. I want to emphasize again, Mike McCarthy said it in the dressing room. That last weekend means we're not going to go undefeated. That was disappointing. We wanted to win the opener. But in general, when you look at where we're trying to go here, we're trying to get a team ready to be there at the critical times as we go into the playoff under these circumstances. I'm not dismayed one bit by the fact that we didn't get that win last week. I'm disappointed, but not dismayed. We've got a heck of a team that we can put together here.
And then, Jerry, last question for you. How excited are you for Arkansas football? I know they're playing Georgia, which is a great team to start off this season. And then are you going to be able to go to the game and see your grandson play?
Well, I think that this year, as everyone.
All right, so that was the end of that interview there. And what I took away from it is that Jerry Jones got a lot of upside on his team. He feels positive about it, and I do too. And I like the way he, lamented the facts that, hey, it was week one or what have you. Yes, I'm disappointed, but I'm not in a worried state or what have you. And he didn't give out a lot of secrets as it relates to, you can talk about, the Tyron Smith and as well as with the other players that's out there like the Jordan, Hip Pocket Lewis. Is he going to start? Is he not going to start? So those are things that we have to take a look at and say to ourselves, man, this team going to be all right. I love the interview with Jerry Jones. I love the way he put out everything. And trust me, we all have our reservations as relates to offensive linemen. That's something that we have to look back and say, man, what if we had a healthy offensive line week 1? Maybe the outcome of the game would have been different. Maybe if you had a Lyle Collins, if he was healthy or what have you, maybe that outcome would have been different. And I like the fact that he broke down the situation with the fans and the stadium. Will there be 20%? Will there be 25%? He said that he would not give out the numbers of how many people will be at the stadium or what have you. So, and they always do that, not giving out all of the information as far as the numbers. But he did say that he want people to be healthy. And I think that when people go to the stadium in Arlington, they're going to do the temperature check. They're going to do the small things as relates to health checks before you enter into the game. So that's good too. It's good stuff to have. And in the last part of it, he did show his love and adulations towards Dak Prescott. Let me repeat, he showed his love and adulations towards Dak Prescott, which he said he's confident. He think that Dak Prescott, if needed, if he can get a yard, he will figure out a way to get a yard. And he think that he can make the passes, he can make the throws, and these sorts of things. So I'm going to chalk up week 1, game 1, as an element of rust. Call me crazy, call me optimistic law, but I'm going to chalk it up as rust. And when I do my assessments or what have you, yes, I give some critical analysis. It's not like the players are trash or what have you. That's just the way I critique. I give critical analysis. It doesn't mean that I hate said player. It just I point out things that they need to improve on. And nobody's right all the time. Nobody's right all the time. So it's good that we are wrong in a sense. And we heading into week 2. Week 1 is done. It's gone. All you can do is learn from it. And I think that this coaching staff, this will let us know the separation between the previous coaching staff and now. Did they learn? That's the main thing. Did you learn something? And can you improve upon and not go back and make those same mistakes over and over and over again? That's life too. Believe it or not, that's life, regardless of how you live it, and the responsibilities in life that you will have to say to yourself, did I learn from it? And I tell people all the time, you learn more from your failures than your success. You learn more from your failures than your success. You can write that down. Now, when you continue to fail and you're not learning, then there's a problem. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. When you continue to fail and not learning from it, then there's a problem. There's a flat out problem. You have to realize and wake up to reality and say, hey, I'm continuing making these mistakes over and over and over and over again. So I love the interview. I love the thoughts of Jerry Wayne Jones. It's crazy. He listened to 105.3 The Fan. He heard all of the motion talk that they did a few days ago about Mike McCarthy. And he stood up for Mike McCarthy, too. He stood up, said, hey, I believe the brain of Mike McCarthy. I'm paraphrasing basically, and I'm adding in the extra words. But he said he believed in the brain because Mike McCarthy been in his offense for a long time, or been student of the offense for a long time, and he think that Kellen Moore is a wizard, what have you, is a whiz kid, as they say. Smart, intelligent Kellen Moore. So we'll find out, Cowboy Nation. Post me your thoughts. Post me your concerns down below. And let me know how you guys feel about week 2 and beyond. How we can orchestrate this W. How we can figure out a way to get the win. And look, I was telling people when I was calling the play-by-play of the first week, how many points does it take for you to win? 1. So that's what I want the Cowboys to do. We don't have to put up 40. We don't have to put up 50. We don't have to put up 10 or 30-point leads or what have you. Just win. By 1 point hook or crook. Win it. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go. Rock out with me. We out.